Hey, it's Juan. Welcome to the February issue of your VMSA SITREP. Now, if you've been receiving the SITREP for more than a year, you know we kind of started the tradition in February, as we get into President's Month. We like to share the story of one of our own who happens to be a Purple Heart recipient. Purple Heart recipient, the Purple Heart in its original incarnation was created by General George Washington as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army back then. And so we're shooting out here in front of the Watching Monument. And we got a great example this year. Tom Muir, he's got an incredible personal story. I want to tee it up a little bit, if that's okay, Tom?
Sure.
Son of an Army surgeon, grew up, his family stationed in Japan. His dad was in and out of Japan, or in and out of Vietnam. Saw those Army medevac helicopters coming back and forth, said, that's me, I'm going to be an Army helicopter. Went to West Point, and in his first operational combat hop, he's at the controls of a Black Hawk helicopter and is shot in the helmet. His co-pilot takes controls, completes the mission, lands him, recovers him. Tom is medevaced out, stateside I presume.
It was, yep.
The Chief of Staff of the United States Army presents you with a Purple Heart.
He did.
And after a brief recovery, you're back in combat ops.
Absolutely. You got to come home with your unit.
So Tom goes on to a full 26-year uniform career in the Army, and then spends 14 years as an SES leader at Department of Defense, DHS, and the VA, before coming to Deloitte 2 years ago as a spec exec. Tom, incredible story. Take us back to that day as we honor Purple Heart recipients across our firm and those we've served with. And tell me how that incident changed the way you see the world.
Thanks, Juan, and thanks to the VMSA community for the opportunity. You know, the veterans are a special community. And one of the things we learned when we serve, it's never about us, it's always about the team. And so going back to that day, I'm here because of the team that not only completed the mission, but then took care of me to get me back safely, to get me recovered, to get me back in the fight. And I'm forever grateful for the team that I led, for the team that I went to war with, more importantly, that I kept my promise to bring them all home. And that was critically important. You know, accomplish the mission, take care of your soldiers and families, and make sure that, you know, both from a training perspective, you're ready for war. That the day we decided, the day that the President decided to engage in combat operations on behalf of the United States, there were thousands, tens of thousands of soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, not Guardians yet, but certainly Guardians now, involved in that operation. Once again, all trained to extremely high standards, all fighting for their nation, and more importantly, committed to bringing the rest of their teammates home.
Motivating. And Tom, you're too humble to say this, but you could have gone home after that. And opted not to. In fact, stayed another probably 20 plus years.
I did. You know, when you get, I don't think that most people with Purple Hearts, you know, take it as theirs. It's an expression of the unit's commitment to getting the mission done. You know, some would say, well, you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I think that for those that, you know, have been able to survive, obviously, a Purple Heart experience, it's about delivering on the mission and taking care of your soldiers. I was really fortunate. I was a company commander that day. We had practiced this event for multiple iterations. You know, and of course, as most things in the military, nothing ever goes to plan.
That's right.
So for that particular operation, I was ferrying the 82nd Airborne, who got off of Fort Bragg late because of icing at Fort Bragg at the time. So they jumped in late, large airborne air assault done during the day rather than the cover of night. And we ended up executing most of the missions in the day, although it began early at about 1 o'clock in the morning that night. So for us, we were ready for it. The team was prepared. The rehearsals had gone well. We had everything in place. And then, of course, the plan changes as it's daylight, you're amongst civilian population. We ended up, sadly, at that one particular landing zone I was in, we had 2 killed, 17 wounded, and I lost about 4 aircraft during that operation. So what makes you most proud, though, is the fact that the team, the unit, continued the mission, got the job done, transitioned very quickly to stability operations, kind of post-combat, took care of the people that they were there to support and liberate and free, and ensured that the team all came home together.
Tom, This is a great educational opportunity both for our community and the larger firm. I'm going to ask you just some
Sure.
logistical detail. You must have recalled and flew again.
I did, yeah. I had to because, of course, anytime you have a safety mishap, they ground you, right? They say, go see the flight surgeon and then get your upslip and then come back and fly and we'll talk about it later. So I had to do the same. I actually spent about, I came back a couple days before Christmas, spent about 3-4 days in the hospital, 4 or 5 surgeries, then some convalescent leave, visit my family. My dad, of course, Army doctor, served 3 tours in Vietnam.
Is he still on active duty?
He was not. He just retired shortly before, but he understands what it means to take care of wounded soldiers and return them to their homes. So I just can imagine what it was like for him on that day to get called that your son's wounded in action and that he's in the hospital, but that he's doing well, right? Going to survive and going to be a recovery. When I told him I was going to go back to my unit, he's like, but he understood it, right? He understood from a unit perspective. It's about the promise you make to your team to take care of them, to have their back, and to get them all home.
Tom, again, we get an opportunity to educate so many of our colleagues who are experts at what they do, but might not know this space very well. Explain to folks the terminology. No one is a Purple Heart winner or Purple Heart recipients.
Right. Yeah, it's not an award for valor. It's not an award for accomplishment. It's not an award for achievement, right? It's an award for sacrifice. And sadly, a lot of our veterans are Purple Heart recipients because they passed away due to their injuries and they passed away due to combat operations. I was one of the fortunate ones because I had a great team taking care of me, great team of medics, surgeons, nurses that supported me both while I was at the Combat Casualty Collection Site, while I was on the C-141 evac. We sadly had a couple of people pass away on the evac flight. And then when I was at the hospital at Wilford Hall recovering, and then back at Fort Ord, California recovering, an amazing group of medical experts that literally saved my life.
Tom, that's a life-changing moment, and it's got to, consciously or subconsciously, inform the work that came afterwards for you, both in uniform, both in government service, and even now supporting clients, including the Army.
Right. For me, it came back to the idea of, and this is what I love about the Deloitte community and the Deloitte veteran community in particular, right? It's that shared sense of mission and deliver an impact for clients. It was the same camaraderie we had in uniform I find here in VA, in Deloitte. I found VA as a career government official, I did DOD, but I see it here in Deloitte with our team now, with the VMSA community. It's about having each other's backs, about caring for the team, about focusing on the mission and delivering impact. And for me, that really resonated. That's why I stayed in the military. That's why I served a complete, 26 years, 27 close. That's why I did a service as a civil servant for about 15 years, and that's why I love the work I do here at Deloitte.
Tom, I didn't mention it, but you're Roslyn based. I know you've been a core coach, a supporter, and a mentor for other veterans. I know you'll be comfortable if I say, hey, folks, new to the firm, transitioning out of uniform, looking for the gouge. I know you'd be open to
Absolutely,
having a cup of coffee or a beer with anybody.
Of course, unbelievable. We've got a great crew here at the Roslyn office, and I was able to spend time with you and the team out at the Udvar Hazy Museum, right?
Yeah.
Right? The latest celebration for Veterans Day. What a great event.
Well, that was awesome.
Right? And what a great band.
Yeah.
And what a great team building effort, right? And what a great time to spend with other veterans who serve in the firm, and share that camaraderie, share that experience, share what we've gone through. It becomes part of who you are, not what you do. It's who you are.
That's a good way to put it. Well, Tom, listen, I am not going to make any jokes about hitting an Army pilot in the head is their least vulnerable place. There's no time for that. This is not that day. So I want to thank you for your leadership, sharing your story with us, and for making yourself available.
No, thanks. I really appreciate what you do and the team does, and I love serving here with the larger VA community, taking care of the firm, and sharing our experiences and sharing the stories.
Thanks, brother. Tom Muir, track him down. Ask him to join you for a cup of coffee or a beer. Appreciate you all. Reach out, stay safe, keep an eye on each other. Thanks. Perfect, man.